What is going on? I hope you all are doing beautiful this morning or having a beautiful time. Today, what we're going to be doing is repotting the plant. I talk about it all the time how you go to the store and you randomly buy something that's on clearance. Well, I actually went to Lowe's yesterday. I do it all the time when I take my daughter to gymnastics. I always go and just see what's out there. Well, while I was out there, I ran across this. For any of you all who know, may not know, this is a tree philodendron, more specifically a philodendron selloum. I believe I'm pronouncing it right, Selloum. And it's another technical name for it that I'm not even going to begin to try to pronounce, but a bentipithium type of it. Anyway, if you type in tree philodendron, you're going to see this. Now, these plants get to be fairly large, like really big. Do I need this plant? Absolutely not, but let me tell you the good thing about this. Also too, by the way, I do make these shirts, this right here, since we're in Black History Month, I went ahead and made this edition. But if you go to the website, Grown on Tuesday, you'll see a whole lot of different varieties and colors that you can switch things out and so forth. But anyway, so here we are. Right here, philodendrons. Philodendrons in general are very, very easygoing plants. You all already know that. That's why I stick with them. These get to be really, really big. Do I plan on keeping that plant? I do not. I just saw it in the store, couldn't resist it, and let me tell you what happened. While browsing the store, I saw a lot of plants. You know, with the recent snowstorm and so forth that came, a lot of plants are not doing too well. Like, I believe they had a lot of plants that was outside, and they turned around and had to force bring them inside, but they probably waited too long, probably was just too many, or somebody forgot about it. So a lot of plants that was in there wasn't looking too good. Anyway, they had those marked down, but they did not have this one marked down. But I went to the front. C. Morris, what's going on, man? So I went, took a look, and I took this plant up to the customer service, and I said, hey, this plant doesn't look like it's doing too good. Can I get a discount? She said, yeah, we can give you one. Boom, just like that. So, I'm telling you right now, if you go to the store and you see a plant that doesn't look too good, if you're in like your big box stores, your Lowe's, your Home Depot, your hardware store, pick it up. Cool beans, G10, how you doing? If you see it in a hardware store, anywhere like that, pick it up, take it to customer service, and see if they're able to write you off. Most of the time, they want to get rid of that plant. I don't know how it works for operation, but I'm pretty sure they do no good having a dead plant, so they'll be glad to sell it to you. So, this is where we're at. Now, under most conditions, I would tell you, when you go to the store, how are you? I'm doing all right. I'm getting excited about repotting this plant. And other than that, after I finish doing a repotted plant, I do have a couple of orders I got to knock out, but nothing too crazy. Yesterday was a very crazy day, so today I'm just enjoying the pace that I'm going. As with most of your philodendrons, I was talking about repotting. When it comes to repotting the plant, most of the times I'll tell you, when you buy it from the store and you bring it home, you want to allow it to acclimate in your house for a couple of days. I've also brought plants home and completely repotted them. Now, this is a plant that I'm going to go ahead and repot. One being, when I went to the store, you could tell it's not in the best condition, and most likely that plant was outside or out by the heaters or whatever it was, and it didn't do too good. So I want to get in there and find out exactly what's going on. If the pot is too big, most of the time I don't run into an issue where the pot that's being sold is just too big for the plant. Most of the time it's sold the correct way with that. But I just need to get in there and see what's going on, because if this plant is not doing too well and I have to cut it all the way back, and I get in there and the soil looks a little bit funky or it doesn't look like it's doing too good, or if they're using something that's not good for an actual philodendron. Philodendron is like a nice chunky airy mix. We talked about it before. You want to use some indoor perlite, a little bit of orchid bark, and some indoor potting mix. But today we're actually, what's going on, Gigi? Good morning. Today, let me tell you all what I found when I went to the store yesterday. Leca. First time I've seen it in the stores. Now I know you can get it off the line, and I'm pretty sure if you go like to your local nurseries and so forth, they have it. But I'll be truthful, I never go into the store looking for actual leca. But I have been on a hunt for the last couple of weeks because I've been seeing people using their leca inside of their emeroid mix. So we're going to use it inside of our mix since we have that. Oh, you have it too? Have you used it? Have you propagated anything with it, or have you used it into your soil mix yet? I tried propagating with leca probably about 2-3 years ago. I did not have a good experience with it, but that was because I let it run too dry. I didn't know how this works. It was new at the time. For me, it was new. Didn't really know how to make it work. I didn't realize I needed to water it as much as I did. Or if I am using it, how to have some of the water actually sitting at the bottom of the pot if you have nothing in it and allow the moisture and stuff to climb up to it. I didn't know that. I just ran the water on top of the plant, let it run from top to the bottom, lay out. Then I come to it about 4 or 5 days later and it's dried out completely. But I haven't experimented with that. Let me have a sip of this first. I haven't experimented with that ever again, but today we are going to experiment with putting this into our actual mix. Now, the way that we're supposed to do this, I wrote it down, so don't get me wrong, this is the first time of me doing it. Good morning. Oh, you already said good morning, but you wasn't talking to me, my bad. All right, so here we go. So leca, I'm supposed to use 20 to 30% of this. And then if I do my chunky orchid bark, I'll use 30 to 40% of that. And then I will use some indoor pot mix and some perlite. And then it says I can use my charcoal. So basically, the only thing that I'm going to be doing, it seems, is that I add in the leca in. I'm just reducing the amount of perlite and indoor pot mix that I'm putting in here. So we're going to be good to go. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to bring you in a little bit closer because we're going to get inside of this pot, see what's going on, and then we're going to make our mix. If you all have any questions or anything as we're going through here, make sure you ask. If I know the answer, I'll tell you. If I don't know the answer, I'm not going to tell you. Let's go. So now, I'm supposed to be talking about the sticking to the clue. So, key room updates. The only key room update today is we got us a new plant. I also today am going to go through here and start watering my monsteras over there. And I also need to get a couple of pictures in. Just about every week, I have to go now. Okay. All right. Well, cool beans. Well, take care. I do appreciate you stopping by. If you get some time, take a look at the video later on and we'll go with that. Take care. Be safe. All right. So let's get in here and let's see what all is going on. Now, from the look of it, it does not look like an airy mix. All right, the mix isn't too bad. It's not too bad, and as you can tell, look at these roots. Do we need to come a little bit closer? Let's get a little closer. All right, let's see here. They don't look too bad. It still feels like it's a lot in here just to be getting this look. But let's just go through here. We're going to rub the plant. All you need to do is just rub it softly. You don't need to tear and break because as you can see, the soil is coming right on off. Let's see. And I am perfectly fine with using the pot that it came out of. Because all I want to do this, it doesn't need to be upsized, okay? I'm not doing a repotting to upsize it. I'm doing a repotting to ensure that I have a good mix. This mix right here is either too wet, because I'm feeling it, because I see chunks in here, so it could potentially have been a little bit of an airy mix, but it's completely drowned out and it's cold, which is probably the reason why the plant's not doing too good. Your roots can't be cold in a plant, okay? Especially your tropical house plants, they need to have a temperature of between 60 to 80 degrees, and the warmer the better. And you already know if this plant is getting cold water or sitting in cool, humidity wasn't at best either. Now it was inside of, actually, was this one inside? Yeah, this one was inside the store, which lets me know that this was one of the ones that got rescued from outside and brought inside. Now, when you are dealing with plants, depending on what size they are, a plant this size, I call this a mature plant. You do not want to get all up in here and have the plant just with roots unless this plant is sick. It's not sick, so we're not going to strip it all the way down and get into the root ball and start dealing with it. Okay, and this is what we're going to roll with. Let's see here, knock a little bit more. Now, we all know what philodendrons like, right? Philodendrons is a tropical house plant. They're very common plants. They're one of the most easiest plants that you can care for. When it comes to light, you want to get this plant as much bright, indirect light as it can. But if the sun hit the leaves on a philodendron, they have done perfectly fine. No longer than about 45 minutes to an hour. The reason why I say that is because I actually know. And it's coming up through an east window. I have 2 of these philodendrons. I call them my spirit finger plants. I can see that. I can. How fast do they grow? Are they slow growers, fast growers? Does it take a while for them to take off and then they just take off? I noticed that with a lot of my philodendrons, that sometimes I'll say they're a slow grower and they do grow slow until they reach that little point where I don't know what happens. They just light up and boom, they go. So they're fast growers. Okay. Well, hopefully my mom can handle this one because this is who I'm giving it to, because I don't need any more plants in my house. All right, so we do have this yellow leaf right here that I'm going to cut off, and I'm going to go through and inspect. And we're going to put this plant right back in the same pot. But I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to cheat a little bit. I thought we was going to have to make our home. She'll love it. Yeah, I hope so. I got her into pothos, and now she's a teacher, and her classroom is completely full with them. And when she gets out for the summer every year, she brings them home, and then I always go up to her house and I pack them all in my truck and I bring them all the way here and I keep them for the summer. I usually do any type of repot, trimming, fertilizing, and combining, because sometimes she'll have 2 or 3 plants and there'll be like little stragglers when I cut them down, put them all in this same pot and take them back to her. Now I will say one thing, although she never says it, is that just knowing this plant can get massive. Okay. I'll let her know. She has it right there by the fireplace. She has a double door for her to go in and out of, and there's absolutely nothing there. And I'm hoping I can suggest to her just to set this plant right there, leave the blinds open, and it'll be good to go. She doesn't need any type of complicated plants because it's gonna die. She came in and she saw my cruton one time, which is not doing good. It's just a box of soil. We're gonna see what's gonna happen when the spring comes. She said, "Oh, I love that plant." I said, "I love it too, but don't love me, and you don't want to mess with it because you're going to hate it." She was like, "Well, if you having problems with it, I don't want it." I was like, "Yeah, just let it be." But yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to be using lecta. Now, since the soil in here seems to be pretty fine, the only problem I have with the soil is that it feels a little bit cool, but eventually it'll warm up. All I'm going to do is add in this lecta to it. I saw where if you add lecta in, all you need to do is just adjust a little bit of your like perlite and stuff so it doesn't dry out completely. But it seems, and I'm going to show it to you so you can take a look at what I'm seeing out of here. When I say that this mix looks to be pretty good, we have our perlighting here. I see that we got some orchid bark, and then we have some indoor pot mix. So really, they did a good job, and I'm not going to bash them for that. I just want my mix to be a little bit more airy. Now, I know I'm not supposed to take these straight out the bag, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour these in a cup, and I'm going to go rinse them off, and then I'm going to come back, and then we're going to talk a little bit. Give me 1 second. All right, now I put these inside of a bowl, and I'm gonna let them soak in here a little bit, and then I'll be ready to use. I know they have some, let them soak for 24 hours and all of this and that, but I'm not using mine to propagate. I'm just using mine to throw into the soil, so it's gonna get that dirty in there. All right, so let's talk. We could talk a little bit about it. I talked about the key room updates. Let's talk about the cost of this plant. So this plant was originally $29.99. but I was able to get them to mark it down 50% off, so they just charged me $14.99 for it. So I'm a happy camper with this. I do feel like this plant is in pretty good health. I do need to cut a few of the leaves off, but just generally, the plant seems to be doing pretty well. One thing that you do want to watch out for a lot, especially with your philodendrons in general, is that they do grow up, and most of all, they grow out. These right here in particular, they grow out to be very wide. So you just want to make sure you have the space to accommodate them. Okay. And what I'm doing is going through here and getting all the little brown spots. Just remember, on your plant, if you have a leaf that has some type of, like, see that brown right there, or if it has any type of yellow, it's never gonna turn back green again. You know? And this is the best time. I just bought this plant. This is the best time for me to cut anything that's not looking good, so I don't get used to seeing something and then having to cut it back. So this right here, I don't know if you can see, the tip of this is brown. Nothing's never gonna happen from that. So what I'm gonna do is cut it all the way down to the base. That's when you cut your plant down and you cutting your leaves or you doing any type of trimming, you wanna try to get it as close as you can to the base. Here. Go. We have some little stragglers, little small ones that can go. I'm fine with this plant almost being complete soil and having something fresh to grow from. Let's go. This one right here can go. I used to be so worried about cutting my plants down when I got them, until I realized that you can keep a plant if you want to keep it full and looking great. That's all dandy to you. But a full looking, all damaged looking plant is not the move. So I'd rather it look small and healthy than for it to be big and looks like somebody needs to come and save it. And I think that's a half leaf. Let's get that going. I think we're pretty much good, guys. Now, I can tell you I've had some experience. Let's see. I have a pineapple plant I grew from a stem. I have a pineapple plant that I grew from a stem of my actual fruit. After 3.5 years, it has grown a pineapple fruit indoors in the winter. I'm pretty sure it's a miracle. Good gracious. Is it a miracle, or do you just know what you're doing? Otherwise, we'd be growing pineapples in the north indoors. That's what I'm talking about. Shoot. Maybe you could teach me how to grow some tomatoes inside the house. That's what I need to be working on. Okay, guys. So let's take a look right here. You see here? We have no brown at the stem. Well, I'm going through here cleaning it. And any leaf that looked like it was broke, damaged, or not going to grow good, I went ahead and cut it. And we cut some big leaf sauces, you can tell. Now, with this leaf right here, I do not like the way it's positioned, because when I plant this plant, as you can see, it's going to be a struggle with here. So you know what I'm going to go ahead and do? I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. We don't have to worry about it. So that way, when I plant this plant straight like this is all that we're going to have to focus on. So, now, after taking a look at this and putting this in here, this pot is pretty daggone big. See. Hello, good morning. What a beautiful plant. Yes, it's a philodendron selloum. Selloum, I believe I'm pronouncing it right. I just don't like how big that pot is for this plant. Let me see if I have a smaller pot. I may just use this one. I could just use the pot and just plant it halfway in and adjust it as the time goes. That's what it's looking like I'm gonna need to do. So, I'm gonna make this pot the size I need it to be. You do not have to do this, okay? You do not have to do this. You can just find you a pot that works for you, but this is gonna work better for me. If I place this plant as deep as it is at the bottom, I will have to put too much soil in there, which is gonna cause a watering problem with me, leading to root rot. I don't wanna have to do that. So I'm gonna adjust the pot to me. Plus, this is gonna be for our mom, so I don't need nothing to be too crazy. And remember, guys, you can always get you a decorative pot. Sometimes you gotta work with what you got. Exactly, exactly. And I'm telling you, I'm in this phase right now where I have upstairs, in the garage, everywhere, I have all these 4-inch and 6-inch nursery pots because that's what I use to buy my plants from. So when it comes to like buying big pots just to have, I'm not buying anything until I need it. Okay. Let's take a look here. And as you can tell, this is a perfect height that I need for my plant. See this? This works. And you can always get you a decorative pot to be able to put this pot in so nobody has to see how it looks. Now, what I'm going to do is get my leca, and I'm going to mix it in with a little bit of the soil I have here. I'm going to put some leca down here at the bottom. Then I'm just going to place my plant right here. And now we're going to build around it. Now what I'm going to do is put a little bit of soil around here, then I'm going to put some leca around here, and that's the way that I'm going to divide mine up. The reason why I'm not mixing the leca all the way in with it is because it already does have some chunky mix going on inside of here. And the roots seem to be pretty healthy, which means nothing is screaming out to me, change me, I don't like what I'm growing in. So I'm just adding in some area mix for me so that way this plant doesn't sit in moisture for a very long time. So we have leca down at the bottom, and then we're putting some leca to go around here, and we're going to put a little bit of soil mixed in with some leca up here at the top, and this plant should do pretty well. And guess what? If it doesn't like this leca, and if this is not the move for it, then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to repot it again and get it right. That's just how it goes. Now, you don't want to press and stuff the plant all the way, but you do want to ensure that you have some good soil around there. Next thing what you want to do when you do your repot, get in there, tap it, squeeze it, make sure that the soil is dropped down all the way around these roots. We don't want any empty air pockets. Sometimes when you water your plant, if you experience watering and the water just drifts off of one side or does not come out the other side and you're fully watering your plant, then you have a dry patch going in there. My suggestion to you is to take that plant and submerge it in water, submerge it in your bathtub, bucket, whatever it is, put it in there and allow that plant to get fully watered. Usually that'll stop what's going on with that, but if you continue to have that issue, if it's just not working or it happens every time, repot the plant, okay? All of the plant needs to get water. Imagine if you just drink water for your body and just the left side gets water, not the right. You know, it's important. All right. And here we go. Repot is done. Now, the only thing that I would suggest that you do if you're doing a repot is to get you some Super Thrive and some water. But this soil is so wet. I don't know if they just watered this plant yesterday, although it was sitting inside the store, or if it's still dealing with the cold weather. Hopefully no snow got into it. No telling what happened, but it's just too wet for me to water. I know I'm going to cause more problems than it's actually worth. But once this plant dries out completely, which I'm going to give it about a week. After this plant dries out completely, the first watering I would give it will have Super Thrive and water. And you want to make sure that the water that you water your plant with is always room temperature or close to it. Don't do cold water, you'll shock your plant, okay? And you can always get you a little pot to be able to set this in, and nobody will never know that you had to make your own pot, okay? Works and it saves money. Now, you can also go to some of your local nurseries, and they will just give you pots because they get a whole lot of them shipped in and they're looking for a house to go to anyway. But I don't know about this exact size. These are pretty big. I noticed that once you start getting up to the gallons and the 1.5, they become very expensive. So if anybody know a place that sells them for the low, let me know. So that way I can order a couple of them, because I have a lot of plants now that's going to be their next size that they're moving up to. Every plant in here is just about in a 6-inch, 8-inch, and needs to be starting to get moved up. So I know over the summertime we're going to be doing repots left and right. Just about every live we're going to probably be repotting 3 or 4 plants. Well, maybe I'll make a video with that, because repotting plants is dirty work, and I'm not going to be cleaning up dirt every day just to film a video. You know what I mean? We're going to put this down and let this be great. And what questions do you have while I'm cleaning this stuff up? I know what I would like to do in this room is that I definitely would like to get me a new carpet in here. The carpet in here is nice, but it's small. And let me get trash can. Also, since we're here, why not? I picked this up too yesterday. First time I ever seen this kind. I'm about to tear this name up. It's the first time we read. Let's see here. What's this? Phalaenopsis? Phalaenopsis? I might got that right. Phalaenopsis orchid potting mix. I have never seen this before, so we're gonna see what it looks like. I'm gonna buy it so I can mix it in with my philodendron mix. I use orchid mix whenever I recommend it. Oh, okay. Okay. This is what it looks like. So, I actually, I talked to one of the store owners and managers at one of my local nurseries, and she actually told me that when it comes to the orchid bark, you want to use the chunky ones and not the very thin ones. I use it from Better Grow, and Miracle Grow. That Miracle Grow has a orchid mix, and I've used it. I've always used it every time I use it, but she told me that this is a better alternative because the little thin ones, they eventually they hold moisture as well and could cause some draining issues. Not issues as in it's bad for your plant, but issues as in it's something better. So you're looking at what's best, what's worse. This right here is better, that being compared to worse. So bought this $7, guys. So you get some of this for $7. I got me some clay leca for $7. And of course, this right here is the Miracle Grow potting mix for orchids. So I can show you the difference. This one, see that? Take a look at this one. You see the difference between the chunks? One is chunky, the other one is thin. So you choose which one that you want to use, but I was told that this is the best one, the chunky one. I've never had any problem out of one like this either. Did you notice that Miracle Grow throws your bags away? When did they do that? Now, if you're looking for just a really good mix, oh yeah, you can see the difference. Yeah, you can. So this one right here, whenever I'm repotting like monsteras and I'm going through doing a heavy repot for monsteras, this is the one that I like to go with. I just feel like it helps with the moisture a lot more. The little bitty lava rocks or whatever is in there, to me, it helps it hold a little bit more moisture than when you're dealing with the perlite, because the perlite again helps with fast draining. And I already have the mix set up so that it can drain as fast as it can, but monsteras do like to hold a little bit more. So this is good as opposed to getting your regular indoor potting mix, okay? Your regular indoor potting mix has the perlite in there, as you can see. This one does not. Now, either or, when you're repotting a plant, I would not suggest to you to take one of them just out the bag and repot your plant. Put a little bit more mix in there. Now, unless you have a greenhouse. If you have a greenhouse or you're putting yours inside of a greenhouse, then you use as much peat moss and whatever it is that you want. As long as you have a regulated watering system and a heating pad or something to heat it up and you have your light going and you can give it that greenhouse effect, you're fine. But for most of us who don't have those type of conditions, when you water your plant, it just sits in water for days, and that's not good for the roots of the plants. I know I repeat that over and over again, guys, but I don't want you to lose your plants. I lost a lot of plants. And sure, Even if my plants only cost $15, $20, $30, if you're losing 3 to 4 of them on average about every 1 to 2 weeks, you know what I mean? It adds up. Make a big mix over here. I think I got this. Put this in the trash. Glad I had opened that big trash bag because it would not have fit in that little bag. And guys, I pretty much that's pretty much all I got for today. Unless you all have any questions or comments, I just wanted to do the repot. I've been saving. I've been waiting to come on here, guys, because I wanted. As soon as I bought it yesterday, I was ready to go ahead and get the repotting. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save it so we can talk and we have a little bit of fun, and I get to walk through. I love doing repotting. It still is a very nervous thing for me because I just want to like, oh, am I gonna get it right? But one thing about when you repot a plant, I know for me, is that it always, I pay attention to it. I look at it in a different way than I normally do. Sometimes when I buy plants, I just put them down to the side, water them and keep them known. But when you actually have to sit down and do a repot on the plant and actually touching the plant, you pay attention to how it's growing, how it looks. You're like, I didn't know that. This is pretty cool. And already coming up with ways on how I can grow it and make it better. So it's that little bit of time that you get to get. Now, most of the time I do crank on a little bit of music and I'm just vibing out with it. But, you know, doing it on live and talking through wasn't a bad either. So. Anyway, guys, if you all don't have any questions or anything, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here and go ahead and get started with work. I appreciate you all being here. Look at these leaves, man. Look at these. I'm not going to even lie to you all. I accidentally cut this one. I was not supposed to cut this one. Just got scissor happy. The great thing about plants is that you always learn about them. New to the channel, can't wait to explore your channel. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, it's an experience here. I have a little bit of everything. And if you ever have any questions or anything, ask me. I also have an Instagram, so if I don't respond fast enough on here, I usually check my Instagram like 3 to 4 times a day. Getting better with time management, so it may have cut down to about 3 to 4 times a day. But yeah. Anyway, hope you all have a great day. Stay warm. And it's snowing again here. Light snow, but we're going to be all right.